stuff going on at Chaotic TV, okay? You're going to see just last week that we did a great interview, I did anyways, with a legendary Rods drummer, Carl Canedy. He recently put out a great book, Tales of a Wild Dog. So I interviewed Carl myself for Chaotic Riffs TV. That's interviews where I do kind of on my own. I'm the only one doing the interview and asking the questions during those interviews. Now, also coming up next week on Tuesday, the 11th of June, we have another great interview we did with Carl Canedy, once again, to further help him promote his book on the This Is Metal show, of course, with my great co-host, Tom Collier. Now, I think you guys are really going to enjoy watching that interview with Carl when it premieres next Tuesday, because a fun fact for many of you that may or may not know is Tom and Carl go way back. They're really good friends. And so whenever we've interviewed Carl on This Is Metal in the past, since Tom has been the co-host, it's been really fun because they have a history together as friends. They have a mutual respect for one another. There's the fact that they're both musicians. And so they have that bond right there. I of course, have known Carl for many years, not really on a personal level, but for the fact that I've interviewed him several times in the course of the history of Chaotic Riffs magazine and now Chaotic Riffs TV. And he's always been a super friendly guy. He's very appreciative that we've interviewed him, and he's very grateful, very super nice guy. And so I've had a wonderful experience interviewing Carl all these years on my own. And so anytime he comes on one of our shows, we always know we're going to have a great time. Carl's a super talented guy, super guy. And I love the fact that he's put a book out. He's finally getting his story out. We also did, if you go back and check out one of the recent past episodes of This Is Metal, we had the entire Rods band come on. And that was fun too, because let me tell you, the reason we were able to make that happen is because, once again, Tom is friends with Carl. And so he simply had to ask Carl, hey, Carl, any way we could get the whole band to come on? And Carl made it happen. So, and I got to make note of that episode also, because not only did we enjoy having the entire band on, but as many people know, Carl Canedy is one that typically does a lot of interviews for the band. And you know what? A lot of times he's kind of a spokesperson of the band. And while David Rock Feinstein, the lead singer, he goes out from time to time, does interview. Typically, it's not something that he's known for. And so it made it an extra fun episode that David came in, also took part in the interview. And we had to ask him the question about, how he got his nickname. That's a very interesting story. That if you check out the episode with the entire Rods band, you can get that story. Just last week on This Is Metal, also, I interviewed the singer from the band Conquest. Now, Conquest, I got to be honest with you, they're a great metal band. I would not have ever heard of that band probably if I was not doing this, And so the publicist reached out to me, the great folks at Chipster PR, another great contact we've made over years that provide us with many the great interviews we've done here for you guys over the years. So our thanks to Chip and everybody at Chipster PR for making that interview happen, because, again, I really enjoyed kind of doing my research for that episode and studying the music. They're a great band, and that's another reason we have a band like that come on This Is Metal, because we discover these great bands along the way that we think more people need to know about. And so another fun thing we do at Chaotic Riffs TV is every other Sunday I get together with my good friend Gar Borras. Now, as many of you know, Gar Borras, he's a super nice, super friendly guy. Me and him have a great chemistry. When we get together every other Sunday, we record a brand new episode of Gar Borras' Time Machine. What is Gar Borras' Time Machine? As we like to call it, it is everybody's favorite pop culture playground. And I got to tell you, folks, one Saturday when we were promoting whatever the latest episode of the show was, Gar comes up with that phrase, in promoting the episode. I said, you know what, Gar? That's going to be the show's catchphrase. It's not something we planned. It's something that just kind of happened. And I bring this up because, we typically interview musicians and bands that are hard rock and metal. Now Gar Borras, many of you know, he plays in a great Los Angeles-based tribute band, Appetite, the number 4, Appetite for Destruction. He plays the role of Axl Rose in his band, does a great job. I've seen the band many times live, so I can tell you get a chance to check out Gar Borras and his band, Appetite for Destruction. Do yourself a favor. You'll pinch yourself. You'll swear it was 1987 all over again. You'll swear it's Axl Rose on the stage. Not only does he sound like Axl, the rest of the band sounds like other members of Guns N' Roses, but You pinch yourself. They dress the part. They look the part. They sound like the actual band. They are just that good. You don't believe me? Go on YouTube and check out some of their clips. If they come play a concert near you, do yourself a favor and check them out at least once, and then you can see what you think. Now, when COVID was going on, I got to tell you, folks, a lot of people were listing their favorite albums, like making a list of their top 10 or 20 albums that really influenced them throughout their lifetime. Gar had a great list. And so I reached out to him. I said, hey, I want to do a series of interviews. We're going to call it On the Record. And we did about 9 or 10 of these interviews where we talked about specifically his favorite albums. We discussed like Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. We did Alice Cooper's $1 Billion Babies, Black Sabbath's first album. And so Gar's influence really is all over the place, is mine. So we just have this great chemistry since we did those series of interviews. I thought how much fun it would be if, we could come up with a show where we could talk about other things than just music. So we talk about music from time to time. We talk about our favorite classic TV shows, our favorite movies. And so we've done movies as far as back, like as the original Dracula and Frankenstein from 1931. You can go on YouTube and search for Gar Borras' Time Machine. All these different episodes will pop up. And let me tell you, what's fun about it is me and Gar, I wasn't there in 1931 when Dracula and Frankenstein first. So we had to do a research so we know what we're talking about when we put together episodes. And I think anybody that has watched any of these episodes, they'll agree that we seem to know what we're talking about. We got a great chemistry. Now, let me tell you why I'm telling you about Gar Borras' Time Machine. Our latest episode is just premiered this week. We did a 3-part episode on the history of the Ed Sullivan Show. Part 1, it kind of gets into the history of who Ed Sullivan was and kind of his rise to fame from sports reporter to the TV icon, legendary icon he would go on to become. What a major force in pop culture the Ed Sullivan Show plays, celebrating its 76th anniversary this year. No longer on TV, but we're still talking about the Ed Sullivan Show. It was such a big topic that it took a 3-part episode. Part 1, like I said, we get into who Ed Sullivan was, how he kind of rose to fame. Part 2, we get into what Gar and I did is we each picked, we have about an hour to do the show. So we each picked made up a list of what we felt were our top 5 favorite performances from the history of Ed Sullivan. Now, how the hell did we do that? It was quite a process. Now, check out the episode and we get into all that. And then part 3 that just premiered this week, him and I once again came up with our own list of the breakout stars from the Ed Sullivan Show. And I think you will all be surprised on what made the list, especially number 1 on my list. I'll save that for you guys to check out. Go to YouTube and look up both the Gar Borras' Time Machine and the This Is Metal Show. That's it. Folks, we got so much more we could talk about, but we'll save it for another time. I promise you we're going to do more of these news updates because I want to start updating you all on the progress of but if you follow Chaotic Riffs magazine, TV over the years, we always got plenty to talk about. So have a great weekend. Take care. We'll talk to you again in the week ahead. Bye for now, folks.